Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Janice Johnson-Dias, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about breakfast. In my family, we love breakfast. We have breakfast for lunch, we have breakfast for dinner. We live in New Jersey, and as you know, New Jersey is the diner capital of the world. So in November 2015, Marley and we were having breakfast. I don't know what time of the day, but we were chatting about the future and planning for what we'd be doing in 2016. We talked about the things that we really loved and things that were a challenge. One of the things is I asked Marley these two seemingly benign questions when we talk. And the one was, Marley, tell me, what did you love about 2015? And what would you change if you could? Now, I've asked her these questions many times, usually over snacks, when she comes home from school. But the answer to the question on this day is what has sparked this international movement for inclusion and diversity in children's literature. 7,000 books. 7,000 books where Black girls are the main characters, not the sidekick, not the best friend, but the lead. 7,000 books, 2,000 unique titles, 150 self-published authors, donations from 5 publishing houses, 5,000 correspondences, 50 interviews, letters and books from all 5 continents, 400,000 Black Twitter tweets, all because I asked her about her day. So now I'm going to introduce you to Marley.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marley Dias, and I believe that Black girls matter. I started the 1,000 Black Girl Books campaign. In my 5th grade class, all the books I was assigned featured white boys and their dogs, and no books had Black girls as the main character. I'm a Black girl, and I wanted to read stories about girls like me, smart, funny, interesting, and adventurous. Had I been assigned a book, one book about a Black girl and her dog, we wouldn't be here today. I'm not Fannie Lou Hamer, but on that morning in the diner, I had to tell my mother that I was sick of it. I was sick of us not being included, and I was sick of the fact that our stories were not being told. But it wasn't that my mother just asked me about my experiences. She pushed me by asking me, what are you going to do about it? I'm glad that I was prepared to answer that question. I attended the Grassroots Community Foundation Super Camp. For the past 5 years, I've been learning how to become more confident and how to use my gifts and talents to make the world a better place. By the time my mom asked me what I was going to do, I had the training and confidence to respond. The first thing we learn at Super Camp is the principle of truth. In truth, we learn to distinguish between the myths and the facts. We also learn to speak the truth and to do what is right, even when no one is watching. This campaign and the need to include Black girls and their voices are my truth. My original goal was to collect 1,000 books where Black girls are the main characters. I was serious about us being the main characters because, like the books, I'm also sick of TV shows which either don't have us, and when they do, we're the sidekicks. Why the sidekicks? Our lives are just as interesting. While I had this bold goal, I didn't expect to be successful, and I wasn't for a while. From November 2015, which was the start of the campaign, to January 18th, 2016, I collected about 200 books. Most of my books came from family and friends. My deadline was February 1st, and I started to be afraid that I wouldn't make my goal. It seems like while I was sick of these books, everyone else was good with these conditions. Thank goodness for Black Twitter, social media, the press, and The Ellen Show. Because of them, people over the world have become aware of the campaign and donated books. They also shared their stories, and their stories were definitely amazing. Old people, like those my mom's age, and even older, were also sick of the same old books. Black people, white people, men, and kids had all been experiencing this problem of the same old books in schools. They wanted more diverse books. Schools call these books classics, but by classics, they mean that they don't want to include anyone or anything new. For example, Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, heard of that book before? Yes. It's an equally amazing book as Where the Red Fern Grows, the Shiloh series, and Old Yeller, but it wasn't assigned in my school. It's not considered a classic, and it's a black girl book, and it wasn't assigned in my class. Jacqueline Woodson's book, Brown Girl Dreaming, heard of it? Really good book. And Rita Williams Garcia's book, One Crazy Summer, are Newbery Award-winning books. And as you educators know, that's like the best award you can win as an author. And they were not featured in my old school at all. I consider that very shameful.
All right, well, Marley, I know that you are sick of books and black girl books are everything, but I kind of feel like 7,000 books means that you're done, and we could go back, we can have pancakes in the diner.
7,000 books is definitely a lot, Mom, and I know that, but we're not done at all. I won't be happy until children everywhere have their voices and experiences reflected in the books in their community and schools.
I'm kind of done.
I know you're not happy either, Mom, so just think about it like that.
Well, I'll tell you that one of the things that was interesting to me was that I hadn't realized that only 10% of the books that are published really feature black kids. And I was more than irritated, both as an educator and a scholar, that we really want to raise children's consciousness and we want to prepare them for the world, but we don't make these books available to them. But it is difficult. Supporting Marley's adventure and her work has been an opportunity for me. It's an opportunity to demonstrate to others that we need to listen to our children's voices. Their experiences are valid and their ideas must be heard. Marley, when I think of her, is really what I think of as love science, right? That we need to love them, but we need to teach them the science of how the world is organized. But hearing our children's voices is not enough. It should be at times, but for me, it's not enough. I didn't attend US schools. I wasn't in the US when I was Marley's age. I was born in Jamaica. And Marley is different. She's growing up with a mom with a PhD and a dad who's a geographer, and I had a contrastly different experience. She was born free, as many of us are in the United States, in a way that is very different for me. But when she was young, one of the major decisions we made was that if you walked through the door of our house, you had to read a book to her. And every Thursday, no matter what city we lived in, we took her to the bookstore until she was 7 years old, and then the cost became too high, so her father had to do it. I've missed countless faculty meetings so that I could be home for those 15 minutes after school. And I'm sure that the faculty at John Jay College has some feelings about that. But raising a child is a unique experience. And great children, innovative children, inquisitive children are not born singularly. They are made. They are created. Her father and I created her from a vision of the impossible. We did not know. We closed our eyes to the reality that is this crazy child. We opened our hearts to dream about what it would be like to raise and develop a free child. We wanted a child that could think like an adult, laugh like a kid, and had the heart of a lion. And this is what we got. We got Marley Dias. And now, Marley is different from us in the sense that she's focused on something else. And what are you focused on, my dear?
Well, I am focused on creating a world where school systems are able to separate the experiences and be able to include everyone. So, yeah, thank you. And I've been trying my best, and I hope that you all will take a chance to look at your community and see that your students or that your children are not seeing themselves reflected, because you know that classrooms in America is diverse, but sometimes, and most times, the literature does not reflect what actually happens in the classroom.
Now Marley has often said to me that she wants to raise awareness. Why awareness?
Well, for me, I'm glad that this campaign is raising awareness because people now know that there are not enough black girl books in schools, and people now know that we need more diverse books. But my hope is that this campaign will also raise consciousness. Now more people are aware of the problem and they know what's going on, and they understand that there's an issue, but with consciousness, people understand the problem, they have all this awareness in their mind, but at the same time, they are going to help. They have the steps of action that allow them to become more successful in creating this diverse life for all.
Now for me, Marley has talked about awareness and consciousness, but that cannot be all, right? This part is usually where Marley and I we have some disagreements, right? Is that action. Clearly, we know that people must commit to doing something. They must commit to making sure that children's voices are heard, because it is systematic. The absence of our stories and the inclusion of other stories is in fact intentional, right? You don't think that that could have occurred by chance, do you?
Well, not by chance, but Mom, it doesn't really matter though. It doesn't.
Why?
The result is the exact same. You say it all the time. Inaction in the face of need is just as bad as intentional exclusion. We need awareness, consciousness raising, and action.
Okay, so she's thought about that, and I guess that she's right? Is that we first need people to be aware that there's an exclusion happening. We need people to decide that this problem is a problem for all, and then we need people to do something about it. It's only under those conditions will we actually have freedom.
Freedom means that children in their communities will look closely at the books that they're being assigned and look at who's in their classes. If the stories do not reflect them, then they should say something to their parents, and if they're braver than me, they'll say something to their teacher. Freedom means that school districts will realize that they're pretty much doing a bad thing by not exposing children to diverse stories, and they'll change the curriculum and start assigning new and diverse books.
But not everyone wants freedom. So what are you going to do next?
So we're doing several things to change the way things are and to create freedom. We have an online resource guide where you can find 700 titles of books where black girls are the main characters. So at least you know that those books are out there. We want to make sure that these books are in the hands of all kids. So in May, in collaboration with the White House Initiative for Educational Excellence for African Americans, I launched a literacy tour. I'm coming to a city near you. My first goal is to make sure that people become aware of the books and the authors because, as I've said, there are black girl books out there. I have partnered with Marseille Martin from Blackish, not just because I love her, but because she's one of the only black girls on a major TV network. Together, we are championing the cause of black girls' voices. On the literacy tour, we want to find youth wherever they are. Reading is not just for the classrooms. So we're going to churches, community centers, recreationals, housing developments, and all those places where you can find kids hanging out together and in a community. People ask me all the time, what about other girls? What about all the other people who are not black girls? But for me, it really starts with my community, which is of black girls, because I feel like the sense of self and identity helps them become stronger. Because if black girls fail, we all fail. So, on that note, sorry, I lost my words. When we don't include black girl voices, it means that black girls lose their sense of self and identity, which is everyone's loss. All of us come from a black woman, and therefore we owe our lives to black women. If there are no black girl books, then the message is constantly telling us that America is all equal and that everyone is fair is a lie. If we were all equal, all our voices would matter equally. Only 10% of the books are about Black girls, then must be lower for Latinos and Native youth. Again, the reality makes the message adults tell us a lie. So while I continue to work for more Black girl books, I want to partner with others who want to value diverse voices. My goal is to make sure that girls are represented, but it's really important to me that all of our voices are heard.
So my goal is a little bit less audacious. My goal is to talk to you educators, you parents in the room, you loved ones, who have children in your community every day, who are telling you that they see something that is unjust, that is unequal, that is unfair. And our job as caretakers of these children is to help them solve those problems. It is my hope that those of us who are adults, who are the guardian of the most precious resources in our community, our young people, will actually elevate and amplify the voices of young people so they can become champions of change, so they can become the solution makers, and they can in fact create the world that all of us want. If we do that, then not only will we have Marleys, but we will have all kinds of children who recognize that they are interconnected with each other and that equity and freedom is not just a dream, but one that is a reality. And if you cannot, let's say it is all too much and you don't know where to begin, all I ask is that you sit across from a young person, you ask them some hard questions, and there's a great place where you can begin. Start with breakfast.
It's easy, it's fun, it's healthy, it's delicious. Eat pancakes and ask a question. It's a good place to start. Thank you.
Thank you.